What's up, y'all? Here we are at the Castlemont Farm, Friday, September 25th. Got a little fog this morning, cooled it down, and in front of the heat wave that we're forecasted to have this weekend. So we want to make sure everything gets nice and wet so that it can survive over the weekend. I'm just highlighting this row right here. I'm gonna walk down so we can see the number, but you can just see it's jungle vibes. These flowers are beautiful. And they're still doing their thing, even though we're getting towards the end, and all of these Jerusalem artichokes are opening up, and you can just see the beauty and all the flowers. So appreciate all that work, but it's starting to get really full and tough to walk through. So wanted to be mindful. A couple years ago, we created a nice big pathway right here, and created a nice open space to allow folks access. Starting to get reclaimed by the vegetation. Just wanted to highlight that. I see we have sunflowers that haven't flowered yet. See under there, we got aphids. So this is the thing to watch out for. We got a lot of wild, or we call it habituated wild plants. So basically plants that we plant but then have allowed to go to seed and now become wild. And some of those plants are really good to do that because they bring in the pollinators, they bring in the beneficial insects, they bring in, a lot of beauty. But then sometimes some of these plants that we actually want can harbor some of the pests. And so that's something to really pay attention to in the work. I would say anytime you see a plant like this, it should be removed, especially because this is right next to a row of greens. It's kale down there. And it is kind of a distance. Aphids like these, they can't fly. They have to physically get on the plant in order to eat it, but it's close. So one thing to see, I just paid attention to, is you can see the little ladybug in there. She's doing her thing. So let's leave that. We got a couple ladybugs there. So we'll leave them and we'll keep an eye on that. And this is another one of those plants that's habituated. It's become wild. It's also edible. It's a very beneficial plant. Fava beans, you can see them right there. And actually you can see there's peas right next to it. These are the peas, these are the fava beans. But the fava beans can be a really bad host to aphids, just like this calendula can. So those are things to watch out for. As we walk down this row, it's kind of difficult to tell what's planted here. You really have to look in and see. Actually, there's strawberries in here. And so we have all of this yerba mora, nightshade, purple herb, as it is in English. We have this mallow. We have these ground cherries. I believe these are ground cherries, not tomatillos. Mullein, wonderful herb. But ultimately the question is this: what do we want to have growing here? What was our intention when we planted? And if our intention was to have strawberries, even though we love the mullein, we love the tomatillos, we love the ground cherries, we love the mallow to a degree, it shouldn't be in the same bed with the strawberries. So that's something to think about. Just like when we come over here, these are tomatoes that were planted here, but again, they're getting overcrowded. So you end up losing production, you lose the potential of your space to produce food when you allow it to get a little wild like this. So I'm an advocate of cleaning it up, but I don't really know about the strawberries. We really have to maintain them if we want to have strawberries that will do well. We have to weed them, keep it clean. You can see around the edges still this Bermuda grass is persistent and will be persistent for many, many years until we really take it out. So, we're not gonna be digging around the strawberries, but what we do wanna do is pull out the grass so that it doesn't get more energy to feed its roots, right? You see that Bermuda grass there. And then as we walk over to the perennial collards, you'll just see the Bermuda grass is out of control. So these are the things I wanna highlight because these are the issues we're gonna have to really address in the work that we're doing in this space. Whether we want to keep perennials and maintain the noxious weeds that are growing under them, whether we want to try to do a total remediation, clean out the soil, dig out all the weeds and the roots and the potential for recontamination. Bermuda grass is one of those ones, once it's established, you're in a lot of trouble. So something to think about. And you'll see it's not just there, it's there. And it's not just there, it's there. So if we allow it to go unchecked, it'll eventually creep to every corner of this space. One of those other plants that we really don't like around here, and in California and in the West in general, is this English ivy. These are trees, but they're totally being choked out by the ivy. So anybody who loves trees and wants to come and liberate these trees from this ivy, that would be really great work. Basically what you need is a saw, come through here, you're gonna cut it so you get all the way through, cut a line there, and cut another line there. You gotta remove a chunk of it because this ivy is so strong. If you cut it, it will reattach it to itself and it will regrow. So you actually have to remove a chunk. And so that's gonna be a lot of work to go around. Some of these stems are really fat. You can see they've been here for a while. But that would be great. These trees would be totally grateful. Otherwise, we risk killing the trees, or the trees dying and eventually falling, which is sad. We don't want to lose any trees. That row that we started in, row number 13 with the strawberries, and then row number 12 was with the tomatoes. Here we go over here. So loving this work. We cleaned out these greens. They're nicely densely planted, so once we get the initial weeds removed, it looks like we'll be able to maintain it and allow these greens to flourish. So that's the next step. Continuing down, and you'll see it gets really, really jungly over here. Finally, I just want to highlight, this is another strawberry row. Yeah, there's Bermuda grass in with the strawberries. There's lots of empty patches. So that's something to think about. Are we gonna try to put more strawberries in, fill in the gaps? Or do we wanna pull out these strawberries, remediate the soil, and have a new plan? I like to just pose these questions. I don't have the answers, nor do I feel like it's my place to make that decision. Just like to put it out there, but this is the problem. Another noxious weed, bindweed. This is a terrible one. If there's on the list of terrible weeds, this is on the top 3. I would say Bermuda grass, English ivy, and bindweed. And we have all 3 of those right here. So you can see how this totally is just taken over. And if we allow it to, it will creep to this side, it will creep to that side, which it's already doing. Creep into the collards, which you see it's already doing. It's gonna climb the collards, it will choke the collards, it will take over everything in its path. And this one has serious roots. And once it's established, again, it's a lot of work to get rid of it. So the work to do now is to remove the foliage so that it stops photosynthesizing and giving sugar to the roots, essentially cutting off the food source to the roots. So then come wintertime, it's gonna go dormant. Come springtime, it'll have to use the stored sugar rather than using what we have, or what it's getting right here. I see weeds as the main theme for this fall and winter. And look at these tunas. These cactus are prolific, beautiful tunas. I don't really know how to use it. Anybody who does, please come take some. Those are beautiful. It's really hydrating, good food source. So here we are. Please take some flowers, harvest all the flowers because they're gonna be done. We're gonna need to pull them out soon. So please come through. Take as many flowers as you can. Put them in vases, beautify your spaces, and just give thanks for the beauty of the farm. Appreciate y'all and all the work you do. Stay up, much love, peace.